Hey everybody, Eric Weiss here with Full Cycle Product Development. If you have ever built a product, if you're a founder or a product manager, you have probably had a really hard time gathering customer feedback. It's difficult, and I'm going to tackle it in a big way today. I'm going to go deep, and I'm going to share with you how you can get a ton of valuable customer feedback at scale using what I call contextual microsurveys. Okay? So it's challenging to get customer feedback. It takes time. You got to find people, you got to reach out to them. And a lot of folks, they do, long form surveys, NPS style surveys, or, customer interviews one-on-one that take time. And it's really difficult. It's a heavy lift. Okay. And so what ends up happening is the people who give you their feedback are on the extremes, either positive or negative. They love you or they hate you. Right. And so that creates a lot of bias in your product. And then you've got this, this bell curve where the majority of your users, the majority of your customers are in the middle, and they don't care enough either way to give you feedback. Either, they're just, things are fine, I don't really care. Or, yeah, it's pretty good, but, I'm not that into it. Right. But that's where the bulk of your users are. So that's really where you want to be getting feedback from. The traditional NPS style surveys, they take a lot of time to develop. They take a lot of time on the part of the user, and the users are just generally reluctant to fill out a long form survey. And there's a lot of bias that can be baked into those surveys depending on how you ask the questions, right? There's a lot of opportunity to create bias and have leading questions in there. So it's not always even a great source of feedback. Okay. It's also, a lot of feedback is captured out of context, right? So if you give somebody an NPS style survey and you're asking them specific questions about their experience, that's where they're separated from the actual experience, then they're kind of giving you feedback from memory. So it's either going to be just sort of vague, it's going to be at a high level or abstract, or in some cases, it just might not even be accurate at all. All right. So you get these low response rates, bias towards the extremes. So you have a low sample size, and and this is what you're using to drive your product decisions, right? And so a lot of companies are making important strategic product decisions off of bad data. Okay. You collect data from all these various sources. Surveys, interviews, customer service, sales, what have you. It's difficult to organize. A lot of times it's free text, so you have to kind of pull out the sentiment, and just generally you end up with just a big messy pile of data that your product owners, your product leaders are going to have to make sense of, and so that doesn't scale. And typically what happens is people revert back to their own opinions, their own biases, and they simply cherry pick data to support or justify their own decisions or their own beliefs. Okay, this is what a lot of companies do at scale. All right, so I have a different approach to that. Like I said, it's called contextual microsurveys. So break that apart. Contextual means the feedback is captured in context, right, at the appropriate moment that that is relevant to the question. And it's a micro survey, meaning very, very small, bite-sized feedback on a specific experience or a specific component of your product or service. All right. And so, this is something that we bake into many different touch points, not only throughout the product. So sales, customer service, social media, within the product itself, as you're going through workflows at various points in the user experience, we put in these very short, very clearly defined touch points for feedback that allow us to capture a lot of data at scale consistently, and will give us much, much higher response rates. So we have to make it incredibly easy for customers to give feedback. We have to ask for the right feedback at the right moment in context. We want to capture from multiple channels and then store it consistently and in a single repository. So capturing it from different forms, different mediums, and so on, and funneling that all into a single database that we can then organize and analyze that feedback, and then use that to make our product decisions. We want to provide sort of canned responses, one-click responses wherever possible, as opposed to free text. Free text can be optional as an addition, but in general, we want to make these, these questions, again, pre-canned or predefined, multiple choice, if you will. And then just make it really easy for people to follow up for more interaction. Okay, so those are kind of just like the basic principles or the approaches around these micro surveys, right? So they're going to be various touch points that I'm gonna walk you through. Pre-canned responses with the option to add more free text, more context, and then when they do submit that really quick and easy form, give them a quick call to action, an option to maybe to fill out something that's deeper or to connect with somebody and have more of a discussion, right? So that longer form, whether it's a customer interview or NPS style survey, is on the back end. Once you've got somebody hooked and you've gotten them to give you a really easy piece of feedback, you say, hey, if you want to do more, then there's this bigger thing on the other side of it, okay? And then all of that is going to feed into a database. We're going to put some, reporting or analytics tools on top of that. And now you've got a real customer feedback engine that you can use to make data-driven product decisions. Okay. So this is going to allow you to capture data in real time and see trends in real time, right? So as you release new functionality, you can see whether or not the feedback is going to change. You're going to get higher response rates. You're going to get more accurate responses because it's in context, and you're going to have consistent data collection. So you're always comparing apples to apples. All right. So this is the approach of contextual microsurveys and the principles and benefits behind that. Okay. So let's talk about a few methods, a few ways of doing that. The first thing that I like to do is bake this into your email drip campaign. So chances are you already have an email automation, an email drip campaign, but it's probably more focused on marketing and promotion, right? So this is marketing automation. Somebody signs up, they give you their email address or they register an account, and you've got this drip campaign that's selling them on the features and benefits and trying to get them to upgrade or buy more or what have you. You should, in every different touch point, marketing, sales, customer service, what have you, bake in some kind of product feedback into that, okay? So what I like to do is have engagement surveys sent out 7 days after they register, 30 days, and 90 days, okay? So on a drip, baked into, in between all of your marketing and promotion, these very quick and easy engagement surveys that get sent out over email to every new user. All right. The way I like to format these is to have in the email itself, okay, some quick and easy responses or a happiness scale, either stars or smiley faces, red, green, whatever it is. That kind of NPS style rating of how would you rate your experience overall, 1 to 5. 1 star to 5 stars, frowny face, happy face, right? Whatever that might be. So just to get something for them to just click, make it really clear and easy to understand that this is a button, you're actually interacting with the form right here in the email. And then when they click through, it captures that data point, stores it in a database or in a spreadsheet somewhere, and then gives them, an opportunity to do something that's a little bit deeper. Hey, would you like to give some more feedback? Would you like to schedule a time to talk to one of our, product specialists to give some more feedback? Would you like to take a longer form survey? What have you, once you've gotten them to give you that one data point. An alternative to just the sliding scale would just be some really quick canned responses, like, what do you like most about the experience so far? It's quick and easy, it's cheap, it helps me get my goal accomplished, what have you, right? So maybe 3 to 5 top questions that you'd like to answer. And you might want to bake this into, so at the 7-day mark, for example, you may just want to ask a simple question that's just, maybe what was the number one reason why you came to use this product, right? What was your goal when you set up, when you came here? And then you might list a few goals, right? And when they click on that, they go to a website, and then maybe a follow-up, it would just lead them right into a survey, right? That the follow-up would be, okay, that's awesome. Like, how well did this thing help you accomplish that goal? And then you can kind of continue on. So you're kind of getting them into that survey, hooking them in the email, and then leading them directly into an opportunity to give more feedback, right? And I recommend something like Typeform, which does one question at a time without showing them the entire screen. Because again, it's easier to get people to give feedback that way. And you can capture partial feedback along the way. So if they bounce out, they get tired of it, at least you've got some data there. And then at the 30-day mark, right, you might say, hey, you've had a good opportunity to experience this thing. What are some areas that we can improve? And you might have something, user experience, maybe some of the major components, major workflows that you have. It could be price, it could be, something else, right? So if they're still sticking around after 30 days, you want to understand, what are the challenges that they're faced, because they're kind of past the honeymoon period at this point, right? And then at 90 days, so if somebody's still using your platform after 90 days, like they're a user, they're bought in. Now you want to really to see like, how can we deepen this relationship for you, right? So maybe it's something similar where, how can we improve this product for you? Or it could be, what's the feature that keeps you here the most? What's your favorite feature, right? So again, it's just one question per email that's dripped out, over their life cycle, that lets you understand their goals, why they're here, what they like about the product, what they don't like about it. And if you can hook them in, then you have an opportunity on the back end to get more feedback in a survey. Okay. Another important component of the survey mechanic are dormant and exit surveys. Okay, these are really important. So these are when users start to fade away, when you lose their engagement. Okay, a dormant survey is when they've been active for a period of time and then they went inactive. So if you have some system that's tracking engagement, and you should, if you haven't built in something on your own, then you're using something like Mixpanel, where you're capturing activity, and then you can trigger to say, if they haven't logged in for a week or 2 weeks or what have you, I'd say 2 weeks plus, you can trigger an email that says, hey, we haven't seen you in a while. What's wrong? Why haven't you been coming back to us? And again, simple questions that might say, I haven't had enough time. I switched to a competitor. The product has been frustrating. I'm over it, whatever. And then again, you can pull them into, they click through, you capture that data point, and then you pull them into, a few more questions that might dig into that problem a little bit further. All right. And then an exit survey is when they cancel the subscription, right? Or maybe they've been dormant for 30 days, and you say, all right, these guys are gone. And then you offer that a similar kind of experience, right? Why did you leave? Well, because I found a better competitor. It was too expensive. It didn't have the features I wanted. It was clunky, buggy, what have you. But then you also want to give them a promotion, right? To say, you know what? Thank you for that feedback. I want to give you a free month, or I want to give you a free credit, or, whatever your business model is, to come back and try it again. And oh, by the way, I would love for you to talk to our chief product officer or our, one of our product managers to try to get your feedback and figure out how we can make this product better for you. Okay. So you're really trying to give them something to try to get them to come back. It's that last hook, before you lose them for good. Okay. So email, still a very powerful tool, powerful way to get customer feedback, and marketing is not allowed to monopolize, that channel. All right. Okay. A couple other touch points that are really important to get, again, contextual micro feedback is both in sales and in customer service. And typically what this is, on the sales side, I like to give them a script, like an email script, that as they're going through the lead nurturing process, when they're a really warm lead, now this is, assuming you have a sales team, right? Whether it's inbound or outbound, this isn't a freemium kind of low-level subscription model where it's all self-service. But if you have some kind of a sales component to it, you want to bake in some of that some of those questions, it's like, hey, what are your goals coming into this? What goals are you really trying to accomplish? What do you like the most about the features and the functionality you've seen so far? And what would you like to see improved, right? Or if you're using something currently, if you have some existing solution, what would it take to make you switch over to this? What do you like about your existing solution? What do you not like about your existing solution? And this is kind of this initial product interview that you'd like to have with a lot of your sales leads. But the script is an form email that I give to the salespeople to say, at this stage in the sales process, usually when it's pretty close to being closed, send out this email that basically says, our chief product officer would love to have an interview with you to figure out how he can prioritize your needs, right? Make it all about you. They want to make this the best experience ever for you, and they want to get your feedback and prioritize the functionality that you need to be successful, and then set up a customer interview at that point. This is a great way to get a constant feed, a flow of customer interviews. I've said it in a lot of different forms that, at scale, you always need to be talking to your customers in person, one-on-one, doing interviews. Even if you have millions of customers, you have to be consistently staying in touch with them. And, rather than you going out and doing the outreach and trying to cherry pick people, you bake that into your sales process so that those inbound leads are now getting in front of the product people, and being able to give their feedback at the time that at one of the times when it matters the most, when they're going through that buyer's journey. Okay. So the other side of it is with customer service. Okay. So customer service typically has their own survey that they do that's based on, the customer service experience, if you will. Right. And so this is a case where they're talking about, how is your experience with your customer service rep? Now, this is a great opportunity to kind of hijack that and get some product feedback as well. So this is typically a survey. And so you can just bake in some questions. Again, how is this product working for you? What are your goals that you're trying to accomplish? What are the things that you'd like to improve? A great way to just get consistent, data points back in. This is a really important time in terms of the context that they're in to talk about the things that are wrong with your product, because they're contacting customer service, right? And so they're having some kind of a problem. And so this is a way for you to understand, well, what are the challenges that they're facing that you could improve, which not only would make the product better, but it would also, decrease the burden on your customer service team as well. Okay. Another good channel is on social media. So social media is a place where a lot of people like to voice their opinions, and it's a great opportunity for you to engage people in real time, one-on-one. So either you are monitoring your social media, looking for hits on your brand name or your hashtag, and you can engage with them and ask them these questions in real time. Oh, well, somebody says your product sucks. Okay, well, let's talk about that. Like, I'd love to help you. I'd love to figure out what we can do to help. And, that creates goodwill in the community. You can also, have your own outreach where you post to your own, your group, people that follow you, and have polls or ask, pointed questions. But typically the social media coordinator, social media manager is focused a lot on marketing, right? The marketing and community and things like that. But that should also be a great opportunity to talk about product itself, right? So if you're a product manager, product leader, you should be engaging in all of these different touch points where other departments in your company are having an opportunity to talk to your customers. You should be getting in there as well and being a part of that conversation. Okay. So those are the main different touch points and channels that I like to use to scale up customer feedback. And again, have these very contextual, very quick and easy feedback loops that can then hook them in to try to get more engagement and more interaction, but at least we've gotten that first data point. Okay. So let's talk about tools for a minute, because there are a ton of tools out there. A ton of tools that allow you to get customer feedback. It's a very competitive market. And in the interest of not becoming obsolete, in the future, a year or so down the road, so that this video can stay relevant. I always recommend, with any tool recommendation that I give, go in Google and type the tool name versus, right? And then you can find all the alternatives, and essentially find something that's right for you. But today's day and age, these are some of the tools that I've used, that my clients have used, and that I think get the job done. So one is UserVoice. So UserVoice is a lot of these platforms, they do multiple things, but UserVoice is something that allows you to sort of manage your customer service, having tickets and so on, but then also bake in some product feedback as well. So you can tag certain things with different product features, what have you, and then create reports that can then feed back into products. So UserVoice is kind of a customer service tool that integrates pretty well into the product development process. Another one is Pendo. So Pendo is a newcomer, and they do kind of the customer analytics. But then they also have, again, micro surveys, right? So you can plug in quick and easy questions or feedback forms into your product itself. And then they have the rich reports and so on. So Pendo is something that came on the market pretty recently, but I'm seeing a lot of adoption and seems to be doing pretty well. Typeform, as I mentioned before, it's a survey tool. You can use Google Forms and SurveyMonkey and what have you. Typeform is just kind of it's a newcomer. It's a front runner. What I like about Typeform is on the back end, the way that you can organize and analyze data works really well. But then also you can drip these one question at a time, so you can kind of lead them on. So it doesn't look like a survey. You're just kind of, you get a question, you get the answer, it stores that, and then you can move on and you can take them through as many questions as they're willing to answer. The other thing I like about it is you can actually embed the Typeform into your own website. So it doesn't look like they're going to a survey. They're actually just right there in your website and they're just answering questions. A couple other ones that are a little bit smaller. One is called Koalaroo and the other is called True Conversion. That's TRU conversion. And Koalaroo, is QUALAROO. These are pretty small companies, they're startups, if you will, but they're really targeting this, again, contextual micro survey problem, which is again essentially a new problem. So these are companies that provide you tools to both in your app or in your website, just very easily pop up a question and allow you to gather feedback in context. Okay, and one of the things that I maybe didn't clarify or didn't mention clearly enough is the in-app feedback. I didn't even talk about in-app feedback. Sorry about that. So in-app feedback is when you want to capture feedback in your application as soon as they finish a workflow. Okay. So this is when, you in your UX, you have a goal, you take them through a flow, you've helped them accomplish the goal, they've reached the end of it. And at that precise moment, you want to gather their feedback. Okay. And so you want to either develop this yourself. So just have a quick and simple modal that you can pop up at the end that says, hey, great, you accomplished this workflow. How was your experience? Rate it 1 to 5, or, leave a comment here. Or these tools, again, like Koalaroo or True Conversion, there's a ton of them out there, but where you can bake that in. And again, the important thing here is that you have a contextual question that's focused on an individual feature or workflow, and you're asking them that question at the precise moment that they reach the end of that workflow. Okay, a really important thing, and I'm sorry that I overlooked it. Okay, and then the last one that I want to mention is HotJar. So there are a ton of tools that do usability testing, screen recording, heat maps, things like that. So there's HotJar and Full Story and Crazy Egg and Lucky Orange. There's a million of them. The reason why I mentioned HotJar here is because they do all that, and they also do in-app feedback. They also do these contextual micro surveys. So that's one that I've had some success with. Okay. So that's the real meat of it. The one thing I want to say is, this sounds like a lot of work, right? This is a long video. There's a lot in here. There's a lot of different touch points. And so you might think, wow, that's too much. I don't want to take that on. And I wanted to tell you that, it's an iterative process. It's an evolving process, and you can start small. I would definitely recommend that you start with the easier channels like social media, the sales surveys, and the email automation. And you want to bake those things into that process where there really is no development work that needs to be done. And then you can work on the bigger heavy lifting, such as the different tools and platforms that you have to bake in. Okay. So all of this, is a great way for you to capture customer feedback at scale, to get more data points, to get more accuracy. It's in context, to get into the high end of that bell curve, and will allow you to make better data-driven product decisions. Okay. So that's that. So that is how you scale customer feedback with contextual microsurveys. So if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me at fullcycleproduct.com. I'm happy to give a free consulting call to anyone who contacts me to try to figure out how you can start to implement these things and how I can help. Or you can just simply send me an email, eric@fullcycleproduct.com. Okay? Have a wonderful day.